Hi guys, my name is Christine Redding, and for Dr. Vanucci's Marketing for Hospitality class, I was assigned chapter number 7. For chapter number 7, I picked question number 3. Um, and this is the question, it's kind of long, so I'll just kind of summarize it for you guys. I was supposed to pick a part of the hospitality or travel industry and then examine what companies in the industry, what they're doing to attract frequent traveler or diners. And are the numbers of those programs increasing or decreasing? And what companies, follow fairly standardized approaches? Do companies follow fairly standardized approaches? Are there variations? How are they promoted? What's the incentive for joining? And how have the programs been effective in increasing brand awareness? As we read in chapter 7, most of the chapter was about market segmentation, and this is really important for learning about who you want to promote to travel for your industry. So I picked the hotel industry to study for this question, but there's other industries like the airline industry, the cruise lines, that kind of thing, but I picked hotels specifically. So the who, what, how, where, and when of a market segmentation is important for hotels because as a hotel you need to find your niche. You need to make sure that you know who you're trying to market to and what you're trying to get at. You don't want to advertise the beach to someone who lives in Florida, and you don't want to advertise the snow to someone who lives in Colorado. So you need to make sure that you're advertising to the right people, you're hitting your proper demographic, where you're going, when is a good time to travel, when your advertising needs to be. Those are all very important when it comes to marketing a hotel. There were several key terms in the chapter, and here they are: geographic, demographic, purpose of trip, psychographic, behavioral, product related, and the distribution channel. I asterisked the ones that I am going to be diving into a little more specifically. These are my 4 key terms that I picked. And as I said before, I picked the hotel industry to study and to do the entire presentation on. And I wanted to put in a few little notes here about the hotel industry here. And I decided to put in the largest brands within the industry as of right now. Currently, the largest hotel brand is Wyndham Resorts. The second largest is Intercontinental, and the third largest is Marriott International, after the buy/merger of Starwood Hotels, which happened at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. In short, simple answer, are these incentive programs effective? And the answer is yes. People love free, or at least the idea of free or discounted. It's these reward systems, these points, they give out everything. So nowadays you can go out and get a Marriott Rewards credit card, and on that credit card you can earn a specific amount of points just for signing up after your first purchase. And 15,000 points equals a room. But what they don't tell you is that after those points have been used and after you've spent that amount of money, then it starts back over again. So it becomes harder and harder to get those points if you're not spending the money to get them. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You get the points to get free rooms, but you kind of have to spend the money in order for it to be free. So is it really free or discounted? That seems to be a great debate between everybody. But I wanted to make a note down here that Wyndham Resorts alone this past quarter spent $100 million on advertising and marketing research to increase brand awareness and what their brand offers. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more further into the slides on who they picked to advertise for their Wyndham resorts. Here's the first bullet point that we were going to talk about. One of the key terms is geographic. Geographically speaking, these hotels, the Wyndham, Intercontinental, Marriott, Starwood, they all have the largest brands. They have the most amount of hotels in the most amount of countries. Wyndham being the first with 7,500 in 120 countries, Intercontinental with 4,800 hotels in 100 countries, and Marriott and Starwood with 4,087 I'm sorry, 4,087 Marriott hotels and 1,300 Starwood hotels in 100 countries. Technically right now, Marriott and Starwood are still considered separate entities, but they are owned by Marriott. But they have, don't know how they arranged it, but they have managed to keep themselves separate for now. That's why Marriott plus Starwood together equals 3. The second bullet point that I want to talk about, the key term here is purpose of the trip. As we talked about our market segments, the purpose of the trip is very important because in this sort of scenario, you want to split your target markets into 2 segments here. So the first one is corporate or business travelers. Corporate and business travelers are often on the dime of the company. So they are not as price sensitive as other people. They usually need a hotel that is close to where their business is going on, if not at the hotel where the business is happening. A lot of companies have corporate accounts with these hotels, so most of the time the person who is traveling doesn't even have to think about it. They know that their business is always going to go to Marriott, or their business is always going to go to a Hyatt. But that's not the same for the pleasure or the leisure travelers. These people are looking for more amenities such as spas, pools, upgraded rooms. But with that being said, they're a little more price sensitive because they're not on their company's dime. So it's kind of funny how people look for all these good things when they travel. They're like, I want this, I want that, but then they're not willing to spend the money. So people are a lot more spend savvy nowadays, I believe. So I think that the leisure traveler market is going to be changing here fairly soon. The third term here is behavioral, and that is split into 7 different categories. As you can see here: use occasions, benefits, user status, user rate, loyalty status, buyer readiness, and attitudes towards product/service. All of these kind of go into one thing, and that is how somebody perceives your brand, and if they are a part of your brand, what you are doing for them in order to make them feel welcome, like they're getting their money's worth out of being a part of your incentive program. I'm sure if anybody here has ever worked at a hotel before, especially like a Hyatt or a Hilton, loyalty status always has a big play in that. I've had several people check in before and go, I'm a diamond member, give me this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, first off, take it easy. Thank you for being a loyal member, but I can't just give you everything that we have just because you're a diamond member. With that being said, though, loyalty status at a hotel is very important. People are not going to spend thousands of dollars a year to go to a crappy hotel and get crappy service because, that leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and they are likely to jump ship. They're not going to deal with a hotel that's not going to treat them and their money, the way that they thought. Here is the slide that I was talking to you about earlier. This is examples of what some of the programs are inside of these companies. So IHG, which is the Intercontinental, they are part of this right here. Advertising's great. I love how they put the hotels in here to show kind of who they have and what they have to offer. These 2 right here are for Marriott. This is for Marriott Rewards. This is a credit card that they have. And earn 50,000 bonus points after you spend 2,000 on purchases in your first 3 months. For some people it's really easy. For some people that's not so easy. So the thought of having to spend $2,000 in 3 months, you're like, geez, I could go on a super nice vacation with no points in that amount of time. But for other people, the 50,000 bonus points might be a really good deal because I believe at 15,000 points you get a free night's stay. And here's another advertisement for Marriott. It's set your points free, introducing instant redemption, and that's basically just saying that Marriott has now released a different part of their program for their points to be used a little more readily and a little more easily, so you can use them almost instantly. And these are the 2 that I was talking about down here. This is for Wyndham Hotels. It's kind of like a little vintage picture. It says more hotels than anywhere else in the world. It kind of gives you the sense of like traveling, like very like old school, like Pan Am, like kind of travel time. So you're going to want to click on that, and you're going to want to look at who it is. You're like, wow, very interesting. So I love the marketing here that they grab you into the picture. The person I want to talk about is him. He is in Game of Thrones. He is part of the Wildling crew, big huge red beard. Everybody loves him. And so Wyndham Rewards and Wyndham Resorts have picked him to be the new face of their brand. And I'm sure you guys have all seen the advertisements for it. It's for Super 8. That's what he's advertising, is for a Super 8. But little did you know that Wyndham owns Super 8, so you kind of you don't really realize it until you really look into the commercial, which I have the commercial right here, so we can watch it if it wants to take us to it. There we go.
Greetings, Stu. I'm the Wyndham Rewards. I don't travel enough to earn anything. Yes, you do. Let me show you. Here we go. Are we in the future? Actually, we're in Branson, Missouri. And now you've got all the breakfast you can eat. Yeah! 3,000 points plus some cash gets you a night at thousands of hotels. Sign up at WyndhamRewards.com today.
So that was the advertisement for Wyndham Hotels. Like I said, when you first saw it, you may not have even realized that it was for Wyndham, that you were so focused on him and so focused on the Super 8 that you didn't even realize it. But this is a mutually beneficial relationship. So the people who watch Game of Thrones may see him and say, oh, he's so funny in this commercial, what is he advertising? And then they look into the hotel and they end up signing up for the reward. You know, and vice versa. People who are part of that hotel see him advertise it and they go, he's funny, what is this show? So Game of Thrones and Wyndham both benefit from this because they draw each of their audiences in. Here's the last bullet point. It's program slash product related. And in general, overall, the incentive programs are increasing. People do not have as much money nowadays to go on these really lavish, expensive trips. I mean, I know we all love to look at the Kardashians and go, oh, I wish that I could do what they're doing, but not a lot of people can do that. So these programs are increasing so they can grab those people who maybe don't have as much to spend, saying, hey, look at this, we'll give you a free night if you go here, and this is how many points you'll get for this, and so on and so forth. You know, there's not as much money to spend. Travelers need a reason to spend it. Countries right now are kind of starving for tourism in light of recent events such as the bombings in Brussels and last year in Paris, or earlier this year in Paris. You know, it was hard for those countries because tourism plummeted, and you know, people were nervous about traveling, and people are still nervous about traveling. Europe right now is advertising like crazy for people to get over there. On the plus side of that, I know there's no plus side to bombings, but on the plus side to traveling, the traveling actually right now is cheaper because they're trying to get people into their countries. So if you're looking to travel, do it now. Airlines have increased the number of places we can visit, so now you can go to the farthest corner of the world and see the rainforest in wherever, and so you can now travel farther. The media has influenced where we visit. For instance, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was a huge one for Iceland. Iceland's sales in tourism increased like tenfold as soon as that movie came out because of the way that it was portrayed in that movie. As far as the incentive programs, they are fairly standardized programs across the board. Basically, the one thing that is consistent is that all programs are trying to beat out the competition and be better than the other offers. Here are the incentives for a lot of these companies. A lot of them offer more points at different times of the year. A lot of them are now partnered with airlines, so if you spend this much on an airline, you get these points for the hotel and vice versa. They're now partnered with credit cards that build points off of everyday purchases. And these programs have been trying to minimize their blackout dates as well. Here are my resources for everything. This is the advertisement for the hotel, and then this talks about how much money they spent in general, and then these are just the locations of the hotels across the world. I enjoy doing this, and I can't wait to watch your guys' presentations too.